Hello there. Welcome to Where's the Remote Star Wars The Old Republic Trailers Review. If any of you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing and drop a like down below if you've enjoyed this video. So, after creating my reaction to the Star Wars The Old Republic trailers, I thought at the time was probably right to create a review video of why these trailers were so phenomenal, and how even today, almost 8 years on, they're still unforgettable videos that never get old. So the first thing I'm going to cover about these trailers, about why they're so awesome, will be the music. So the use of the music in these trailers is phenomenal. I love the fact that they've used John Williams' original scores from the prequel eras and some from the original trilogy too, but mostly from the prequel eras. Like the music from the third trailer, Return, was fantastic, and it just made the entire fight scene like so much more dramatic and so much more epic. So the use of music that they've done in this is like really cool. In fact, in every single trailer, the use of music is just mind blowing. And as well as giving you those nostalgic Star Wars moments with like the music that we're all fond of, we're all used to hearing, and we all love, it just really complements the action moments and even some of the more emotional moments in the trailers. So yeah, there was a great use of music used in these trailers. Second, I'm gonna have to cover the visual effects. So now, considering that these trailers originally came out in 2011 in September, the visual effects for them are crazy, crazy good. And we know that it's just for just for the trailer because the actual gameplay itself is obviously completely different, and the cinematics had improved graphics just for the trailers. But everything in these trailers looks movie equivalent quality to me. Like the way they do the visuals of the characters, the visuals of the fights, which we'll get to in a second. You know, the visuals of like the space travel and just everything. The visuals in these trailers are fantastic, which is another aspect of why these trailers are essentially timeless, because you can watch this over and over again, and the visual effects used in these trailers like really do age well. The only other trailers around this time that I could think of were probably close to equivalents was the trailer for the DC Universe Online, the first ever trailer where it had like Superman getting killed by Lex Luthor and the fight with the Justice League. Those cinematics were good, but I've got to say that the cinematics in the Old Republic were way better. So yeah, the visual effects were absolutely phenomenal for its time. Considering it came out 2011, it's just crazy what they achieved. So yeah, this is great. So now on to the action sequences. So the action sequences are like, for me personally, because I'm a person who I love action movies, but I have to watch something that has a good story and a good purpose for action. It can't just be senseless violence. But the action in these trailers is incredible, and this again ties in with the visual effects that have been achieved in the creation of these trailers. Like the fight between Malgus and Satil's master was a crazy fight. But him taking on two Siths at the same time, actually taking one of them out on his own, like the fight was crazy, and it just showed how good the Jedi and the Sith were in their prime when it came down to like lightsaber combat, but also force abilities as well, and which is what we love to see. Which is what the prequels probably could have touched on more of, just displaying like what the Jedi and the Sith were really like in their prime. But even from a 6 minute trailer, it does a fantastic job of doing that. But all of the fight scenes are crazy. The fight scene in Betrayed, when the woman, I don't know her name, was trying to save that young girl from Sith training, and then she has to fight 4 to 5 lightsaber wielders to save her. Like there was no music in that scene, but the entire scene just has you in awe because you're waiting to see what's going to happen next. You know that she's not just fighting for her own survival, but she's fighting for her and someone else that she cares about. And there's real emotional depth to that scene, but we'll touch on that later when I get onto the story. But the action was crazy. I think the action, even though it's not like live action, it's CGI. It's some of the best Star Wars action I've ever seen in anything to do with Star Wars. Certainly better than the action that we've seen in the more recent Disney films, and which I hope gets better with Episode 9. I cannot fault the action in these trailers at all. The action is fantastic. But now, let's move on to the story. So the storylines in these trailers. So even though they're just trailers, some of the stories are actually really engaging. I really like the story of Alderaan when Malgus makes his march to Alderaan to purge the rest of the Republic, and they put up a fight. And it's like the Republic's last fight for Alderaan, and it's really deep because you see halfway through the trailer that all of the Republic soldiers are being just slaughtered by Malgus and his army, and they're enjoying it. Malgus is enjoying it, which is another part of the story. Like, you see how evil Malgus is, even in 3 trailers that he's featured in. You really get a good sense of the type of character that Malgus is, which is just great. You know, they've done a really good job of that, and they do a really good job of it in all the trailers. The story from Return as well was actually really, really good. The part where, as I was saying earlier, where she saves the girl who was being manipulated or whatever they're doing to unlock her potential to use the Force. When she saves her and then she turns back and she doesn't want to go with her and she stays back and she has to leave her on her own. And then towards the end of the trailer, she sets up a trap for her, and she begins to fight her at the end. That was crazy. That whole story was solid because it starts with a young girl who sees her, assuming her twin brothers, training to be warriors and training to use the Force, and then she wants to be like them too. And she realizes she has hidden potential, and then she's taken away and then manipulated to have her potential for the Force used, and her protector comes back to save her, but by the time she comes back to save her, she realizes it's already too late. That story was fantastic. And the story with the twin brothers as well, that story was fantastic. From when they grew up together, fighting together, training together, took part in wars together, and then when one of the brothers takes a turn towards the dark side. That was told fantastically well. You know, I was really like emotionally invested in that story, because when at the end where he, you know, kills his brother because he succumbed to the dark side, that actually got me. I was like, wow, the first time I ever watched it, I was thinking, wow, he has the Sith eyes and he's killed his brother as a result. Like, look what he's become. So the story, even though they're 6-minute long videos, like, the story in them is really gripping. And now onto the characters. So even though, again, I keep saying it, but they're 6-minute videos, but you do get invested into the characters. The character in the cowboy character in the Return trailer was very interesting from the get-go. Satele and her master, they were very interesting characters. Even some of the Republic troopers from the Hope cinematic trailer were interesting. That one guy that tried to take on Malgus and 2 other Siths on his own with just a knife and judo shoulder throws, like, they're all very interesting characters, and we barely know anything about them apart from Satele, because we get to see her progression in the next few trailers. But the characters are really interesting, especially Malgus, who I haven't mentioned. He's probably the most interesting character in my opinion, because we get to see a lot about Malgus and a lot of the stuff that he does. I mean, when he turns up to the Jedi Temple and he just takes them all on with his quote saying that, you know, you thought you were safe, but you weren't. You know, it's crazy. But the characters are really interesting. That's something I love about these trailers too. And that's something that makes me keep coming back, because, you know, I want to see more Malgus and I want to see more Satele and I want to see more Jedi and Sith characters that are actually genuinely interesting. Which is why I find that these videos are timeless. But these trailers are also a great fan service. I feel like they give the Star Wars fans what we've wanted to see in live action for quite a while. The use of the Force, the way they display the Force, the story, the music, it's great. It's all great stuff. And seeing, again, like, going back to my original point earlier, seeing the Sith and the Jedi fighting in their prime is something that I feel like a lot of people want to see. The views and the engagement and the interaction on these original trailers kind of backs up my point when it comes to that. I hope that you guys agree too. But what do you all think about the Star Wars The Old Republic trailers? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. And if you didn't like this video, let us know why in the comments, and I'll take your feedback on board. Thanks for stopping by, and may the Force be with you always.